plot summary of Black Elk Speaks by John G. Neihardt. Black Elk Speaks is the story of the life of Black Elk, a Lakota medicine man, spiritual leader, and visionary. In it, he thinks about how the American westward expansion destroyed his culture and how he was unable to use his visionary powers to save his people and keep their way of life. The book is based on conversations between the book's author, John Neihardt, and Black Elk that were recorded. The story starts with Black Elk lighting the peace pipe in a special way. He gives the pipe to the Great Spirit and asks it for knowledge. Then he gives it to the people in the crowd. He tells the people in the room that the story he is going to tell is not just about his life, but about all life. Black Elk says that he is a member of the Ogallala band of the Lakota people. He talks about his early childhood, when the threat of the Wasakas, white people, moving west in search of gold and money was always there. Black Elk worries as he grows up that the Wasakas will kill his people, take over his land, and ruin their way of life. Black Elk is 5 years old when he hears voices in the clouds for the first time, but he is too scared to tell anyone. Black Elk gets very sick when he is 9 years old. He loses consciousness one night and has his first great vision. In this very symbolic dream, Black Elk is taken to a cloud world where he meets 6 grandfathers in a teepee with a rainbow at the door. The grandfathers say that they called Black Elk to them so that they could give him sacred objects and the power to heal and save his people. In his vision, Black Elk sees his people being forced to march down a dark road of war and destruction. The grandfathers send Black Elk back to Earth and tell him to use his power and knowledge to help his people and fix their sacred hoop. Black Elk wakes up and finds himself in his teepee with his parents. They tell him that he's been sick for 12 days, but that a medicine man named Whirlwind Chaser, who is Standing Bear's uncle, cured him. Whirlwind Chaser tells Black Elk's parents that he is special. Black Elk has changed since he had his vision. He doesn't know what to do with the higher calling he was given in the vision, and he's afraid to tell anyone about it because he thinks they won't believe him. Black Elk keeps getting advice from voices even as he gets older. These voices often warn him when danger is close by. Still, Black Elk feels more and more hopeless when he can't fully use the powers he saw in his vision. As Black Elk gets older and more Wasakas move west to find money, things keep getting worse between the Indians and the Wasakas. The discovery of gold in the Black Hills and the building of the Transcontinental Railroad lead to the Plains Indians and the U.S. Army fighting at the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876. Even though Black Elk's people win the battle, their problems don't go away. Wasakas continue to take over Indian land with the help of the U.S. government and a series of broken treaties. As a result, more and more Indians are forced to live on government programs or die of hunger. Wasakas kills Crazy Horse while he is resisting arrest in 1877. Crazy Horse was a Lakota chief, a famous warrior, and Black Elk's second cousin. After Crazy Horse died, Black Elk and some others moved north to grandmother's land in Canada. They joined people like Sitting Bull and Gall who had chosen to live in exile instead of on Wasatch agencies. Black Elk goes back to his home country because he believes he has a higher calling after his first vision. Black Road, a medicine man, tells Black Elk that he must act out his vision in public if he wants it to work. After a series of public ceremonies, like the horse dance, the dog vision, and the Hyoka ceremony, Black Elk realizes his vision and takes control of his power. His people now see him as a medicine man, and he heals his first person when he is 19 years old. Black Elk may be able to heal people one by one, but he still can't help his people get back their stolen culture and land, and the nation's hoop is still broken. He joins Buffalo Bill's Wild West show out of desperation and to learn more about Wasatch culture. He thinks that if he knows more about the culture of his oppressors, he will know how to help his people. Black Elk travels with Buffalo Bill's show around the US and to Europe, where he meets Queen Victoria, whom he calls Grandmother England. Black Elk doesn't see anything good in Wasatch culture, which he thinks is driven by greed, and he decides that the only reason he thought going abroad could help his people was because he was desperate. While Black Elk is in Paris, he makes friends with a Wasatch girl, and she invites him back to her family's home. Black Elk gets sick when he goes to see the girl's family. He has another vision in which he rides a cloud across the Atlantic Ocean and sees his family in pain. When Black Elk wakes up, the girl's family is all around him, and he learns that he has been very sick for several days. When Black Elk got better from his illness and went home, he found that his people had been moved, were in bad shape, and were getting help from agencies. During his time away, things got worse for them. Most of the bison are dead, and everyone is cold and hungry. Soon after Black Elk goes back to his home country, he hears about a new movement called the Ghost Dance. It was started by a Paiute man named Wovoka, who many people think is a Wankia Messiah. Wovoka's predictions say that dancing the Ghost Dance will help Indians get into an afterlife where they have defeated the Wasakus, their culture is restored, and they can see their dead relatives. Black Elk is at first skeptical about the Ghost Dance movement, but he starts to believe in it when he sees that it has a lot in common with his first great vision. Black Elk joins the movement because he hopes it will give him the chance to finally act on a dream and save his people. The Ghost Dance movement gives the Plains Indians a new lease on life. It brings back their rebellious spirit, which had grown weaker as they were moved around and suffered more. Soldiers from the Wasatch tribe see that the Indians have gotten stronger again and are scared by the threat that the Ghost Dance poses to their power. Because of this, they have rules about when and where dances can happen. Tensions rise, and in 1890, during the Wounded Knee Massacre, many Lakota people are killed by U.S. cavalrymen. About half of those killed were women and children. After the Wounded Knee Massacre, Black Elk wants to get even, but Chief Red Cloud convinces the Indians that their situation is too bad and that they should just give up. After this defeat, Black Elk is upset that he can't use the powers he saw in his first vision, and he is sad that his people have been killed.
About the author. John G. Neihardt was born on January 8, 1881, in Sharpsburg, Illinois. He spent his childhood in Kansas and Nebraska. In 1893, he went to the Nebraska Normal College in Wayne, Nebraska. There, he worked as a bell ringer, which meant that he rang a bell to let teachers and students know when it was time to change classes. The Divine Enchantment, which came out in 1900, was his first published work. It was a long poem that went beyond his Protestant upbringing to look at spiritual experience from a more universal point of view. Neihardt worked for an Indian trader when he was a young man in Bancroft, Nebraska, a town outside the Omaha Reservation. This made him interested in American Indian culture. During this time, he got to know a lot of Omaha Indians. These friendships led him to write a few short stories, which were published in magazines like Overland, Outing, and The American. Neihardt married Mona Martinson in 1908. She was a sculptor who had studied with Rodin in Paris. The couple had 3 children: Enid, Hilda, and Sigurd. Neihardt was given the title of Poet Laureate of Nebraska in 1921. One of Neihardt's best-known works is A Cycle of the West, which came out in 1949. It is a collection of 5 epic poems that Neihardt wrote over a period of 30 years. The poems tell the story of how people moved west and how American Indians were forced to leave their homes. He worked for the Minneapolis Journal, the Kansas City Journal-Post, the New York Times, and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch as an editor and critic. Neihardt met Black Elk in 1930 when he was trying to finish Song of the Messiah, 1935, the last part of A Cycle of the West, and needed to talk to a holy man who had been involved in the Ghost Dance movement. Black Elk and Neihardt had a number of talks about Black Elk's life and his role in the movement. Through these talks, they became close and developed a deep connection. The book Black Elk Speaks, which is based on these talks, came out in 1932. Neihardt taught at the University of Nebraska and the University of Missouri over the course of his career. He died in 1973, when he was 92 years old.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.